Commissioner Anaya.
Here.
Commissioner Arton, Vice Chair Arton.
Present.
Commissioner Kate Chasen. Commissioner Clark.
Present.
Commissioner De Los Rios.
Present.
Commissioner Desert.
Good morning, everyone. Present.
Commissioner Elliott Santos. Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Farouk.
Present.
Commissioner Fowler. Come back to him. Commissioner Gillies. Sheriff Gore.
Present.
Commissioner Griffin Jones. Commissioner Hassan is traveling. Commissioner Hodges.
Present.
Commissioner Ismail.
Present.
Commissioner Corey.
Present.
Commissioner Legaspi.
Present.
Chair Nash.
Present.
Commissioner Perez.
Present.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Present.
Commissioner Raymond. Commissioner Roberts.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Ruderman. Yoli Alpagodawi for Summer Stephan.
Present.
And Commissioner Villaforte.
Present.
All right. And the first item on your agenda, item number 3, Commissioner.
Commissioner Evans is here. I'm
Oh, thank
sorry.
you, Commissioner Evans. No worries. All right. We didn't receive any public comment. Naraz, can you confirm that?
We did receive request to speak.
We received 1 request to speak.
Yes.
Okay, and is that, let's see, Mr. Tom Packard?
Mr. Tom Packer didn't submit any request to speak, although he's already joining the meeting for today.
Okay. Do we have the person who requested to speak on the agenda? Or
Yes.
on the call? Okay. You want to allow them to unmute?
Okay.
And is it the phone number that's on the line, Ross?
Yes.
Okay, so if that person could unmute and then state your name for the record, that would be great.
It's unmute.
They're on mute right now.
Yes.
Is it 672?
This is Nicole.
Hey, Nicole,
Hi.
we have you marked as present. All right, so not hearing, seeing any movement on the unmute for the person to speak. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, Madam Chair. And if that person comes back on and they can unmute, we'll allow them to speak later on in the meeting. That's okay with our county council. All right, so next item on the agenda. I'm sorry. Thought I heard someone on mute. Okay, next item on the agenda, Madam Chair, is an item about teleconferencing for our meeting and the options pursuant to the government code. And Rachel Witt, our county counsel, is going to give us an update on that item. And we also have to make a motion to pass a resolution to allow us to continue to do this work. virtually. So I'll turn it over to Rachel for her brief presentation.
Great, thank you, Andrew, and good morning, everyone. As you know, since many of you went to the Brown Act training that we had at the last meeting, the Human Relations Commission is a legislative body that's subject to the state's open meeting law known as the Brown Act. And today the commission is going to be asked to take an action that will allow it to operate under a new special teleconferencing rule that was established under AB 361. And so I just wanted to provide you an overview for the action that you're taking so that you understand what we're doing, and you're going to see it again through the end of the year. So just wanted to kind of give you some background. Before the pandemic, legislative bodies like the commission could only meet by teleconference if the agenda contained the location of each teleconferencing location, and the agenda was posted at each one of those locations, and the members of the public were allowed to speak at each of those locations. And so this meant that board members rarely used teleconferencing unless it was from a public space, because nobody wanted home addresses posted on a public agenda. But when the pandemic started in March 2020, the governor suspended these specific rules by executive order, and that executive order expired September 30th of 2021. And in its place came AB 361, and it provides that effective October 1, legislative bodies like the commission can hold teleconference meetings similar to those allowed under the executive order under certain limited circumstances. And one of those circumstances is if there is a declared state of emergency and state or local officials have recommended social distancing. And so in our case, the declared state of emergency is still in place, and Dr. Wooten, our public health officer, has recommended social distancing. And so your commission subcommittees held meetings earlier this month, and today's meeting is being held under those special rules. And so under the special rules in AB 61, the agenda has to provide for live participation rather than just simply allowing e-comments. And your commission has already allowed public participation, and so you're already in compliance with that. And the public has to be given an opportunity to speak at each item. And probably the most important one is that if there is a disruption in the phone or Zoom service or whatever platform the legislative body is using, then if it goes down, then no action can be taken because it could be challenged in court. So to continue to meet virtually under these special rules, the law required does a commission or any legislative body to make a finding every 30 days. And so today's motion, we're going to do it by motion, will allow the commission to meet virtually for the next 30 days. And in cases where the commission cannot meet every 30 days, I know that there is a gap between your November 9th and December 14th meeting. We believe it's prudent to ask you to delegate that specific function to the chair. And so she can review to make sure the state of emergency is still in place and that local social distancing is still required. And then she can memorialize that in a letter, and then that will be ratified at your next meeting. So today's motion is, and it's in your agenda, and I'll just add a little bit to it, but it's pursuant to the relevant government code, a motion that this body has considered the circumstances of the state of emergency that's still in place, and local and state officials continue to recommend measures to promote social distancing, and to delegate to the chair any determination should the commission be unable to meet in 30 days. And so if somebody would be interested in making a motion, we could proceed.
Commissioner Roberts would make that motion.
Sheriff Gore will second it.
All right, we'll call for vote. Commissioner Anaya.
Aye.
Commissioner Arton, Vice Chair Arton.
Aye.
Commissioner Chasen. Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Commissioner Clark, aye.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Cinnamon Clark.
Commissioner Clark, aye.
Thank you. Commissioner De Los Rios.
Aye.
Commissioner Desert,
Aye.
Commissioner Elliott Santos,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Farouk,
Aye.
Commissioner Fowler, Commissioner Gillies, Sheriff Gore,
Aye.
Commissioner Griffin Jones, Commissioner Hussein is absent.
Okay, I'm in.
Commissioner Hodges,
Aye.
Commissioner Ismail,
Aye.
Commissioner Corey,
Aye.
Commissioner Legaspi,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryman, Commissioner Ryman, Commissioner Roberts,
Aye, sir.
Commissioner Ruderman, Yoli Apaguidi,
Aye.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes. Right, the next item on your agenda, Madam Chair, is a strategic planning update. And let me pull up the PowerPoint presentation for you. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and I will turn it over to Christiana from MP Solutions, and she'll take us through the update.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Happy to be here today. So we met yesterday and we are at a, let's say, we sit close to the closing process. We're not quite there yet, but we're definitely making some headway. So we wanted to share with you all kind of where we're at and where things are going. If you don't mind clicking ahead to, you can skip, yep, there we go, to the data summary. So this is after everything that was done, all of the interviews, all of the public comment, everything that was shared with emails, with phone calls, with messaging, with the appointments, or not, I'm sorry, not the appointments, but with the interviewing last time with you all with TFOX. This is what came to be as where the need is being expressed. So if we look at these, the highest one came up as community investment. So this one shows a 26%. And on community investment, that entailed some other pieces that just kind of, we went into a little bit more detail into the, the data. We have identifying and evaluating the areas of needs and priorities and investing in them. For example, jobs, education, economy, starting small businesses, reinvesting in the community, transportation, and investing in the community versus sending money outside. And there were, it was definitely, obviously the highest one there was with the 26. And then next to that was affordable housing. And that one is 10%. And for some reason, I don't know why it chopped off the bottom there, but hate crimes came in at 9%. And livable wages came in at 11%. And we have, of course, more pieces on those of detail. But then the next pieces of the pie here seemed more of the ways of doing these things, more strategies, more of the actual action items that we want, and also maybe different lenses to look at things. So We looked at the community forums, communication, those we kind of identify would fall under the communication subcommittee. We have cultural training, accessibility, inclusion, diversity, and equity. So we talked about potentially making a recommendation for another committee to cover these pieces. And then there was youth came up as 3%. So we are glad to see that there already is a youth subcommittee. So this is showing the data of what we pulled. And then we can show the next slide. This is another way of looking at it. So we mentioned that community investments 26%. Here it is another way to look at it. So these are the top 5. And then what we did was we kind of looked at then how they fall into the subcommittees and move those around to see. So that way we're capturing all the data, but it isn't necessarily that they would be comparative because, for example, your youth subcommittee would have insight on all of these topics. Your public safety law enforcement would have insight on all of these topics. So we looked at that and then we went a little bit further and realized that we need to prioritize because we'll show this next image. And this is an image that T. Fox shared with us and resonated for all of us. But yes, we have a lot to do and a lot of things that can be done and a lot of tools, but what is what we need and what we need to use, that needs to be determined first and foremost. So we spent quite a bit of time looking at the priorities and looking at how we would rank them. So what came up versus what came up with the community, what came up for the different constituents, and all the public comment. Obviously, we saw that, and then we looked at speaking on behalf of the communities that were represented in the ad hoc. We have some priorities. We'll take that to the next slide. So there was some ranking done. So 5 is the highest priority. We did this because of the value for the data. And so we wanted to share where we're at and where we're headed. So this is where they came in as ranking. So community investment came in at 20, hate crimes at 12, as well as law enforcement at 12. Wages came in at 10 and affordable housing came in at 6. And there was some conversation about wages and affordable housing being kind of needing to work together. So that's why they ranked wages higher than affordable housing. So this is where we're at. This is what we're looking at the priorities, and wanted to kind of let you know that this is what it looks like the priorities will be and in what order. We did discuss different ways of making it be, is it going to be an annual, like 2022, we will spend time on community investment. Will we spend more time on 2023 on hate crimes? And what would be the abilities of or I should say the capacity of everyone to do more than one at once? For example, law enforcement and hate crimes came up at the same level. So I wanted to share this with you just to give you an update of where we're headed. And then the next slide shows our next steps. So we have November 1st, we'll continue assisting in the prioritization of the 5 key areas and action planning on the areas identified as the highest priorities. Then November 9th, we will present the priorities and the plan for the entire commission as we are like today on November 9th. And then if completed, but we're also allowing ourselves a little bit of wiggle room there for the December 14th to be the potential sharing of that if we are not able to November 9th, if we haven't completed that. And just wanted to reiterate that our contract ends at the end of the year with you all, but we are able to renegotiate, look at contract for next year if we need help with, if we need to provide some more help with the action planning of more items. So that is where we are at right now. And just wanted to see if there's any questions. Any comments?
Deafening quiet.
Hey, sometimes no news is good news. Okay, I see that there is a hand up. I don't have the ability to unmute. Thank you.
Yeah, I can just unmute myself. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
presentation. I guess a quick question and also a comment. I would assume that on the different areas, for example, when I see community investment, I kind of have an idea of what that means, but I would love to see like kind of that broken down a little bit more. Will we be getting that like breakdown?
Yes, because those pieces will all fall into the strategies and the goals and the objectives. I do have it all tallied up. I don't know if I can share a screen. I cannot share a screen, but that's something that we do have more detail. That's why I read that one out loud, because that one folks were having, well, what all does that include? So that one was the one that was identifying and elevating the areas of need and priorities and investing in them for jobs, education, economy, starting small businesses, reinvesting in the community, transportation, investing in the community, so spending money in the county versus sending money outside. Those were primarily the ones that fell under there. Let's see here if I'm missing any others.
And I didn't know if you wanted to try to share your screen again since I
Sure.
and I also saw Commissioner Roberts. Did you raise your hand? And we also have Commissioner Farouk after Commissioner Roberts.
Okay, let me share this. Okay, so here is identifying and elevating the areas and needs and priorities. And then, so this is where you can see the actual tallies. And then the topics, these are the counts. So yes, and I can't remember offhand which one, but there was another one that we read in here that seemed to have fit into community investment as well. And I'm trying to, the create programs to enable success, small businesses, education systems, economic disparity, financial education with less regulations and more opportunities and support. So I hope that gives a little bit more of to what that is. And of course, we'll take all the data and put it into the action items.
Commissioner Farouk?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. This is really helpful to know. I'm curious around the categorization of the hate crimes. So it seems like I'm looking at the screen, it shows that you kind of grouped hate crimes, racism, sexism, and anti-Semitism into one category. Is that correct?
In regards to that, let's see here. Let me look down below. Joanna, can you help me with that one? So make sure.
Yes, that's true. I have them all together because I was really focusing on the hate crime towards any kind of ethnicity or gender rather than each specific ones.
Because the inclusion, diversity, equity, and the cultural training, those are where some of the other ones came up and would be held in those spaces. Looking at providing accessibility, providing cultural training on different groups, that was in there as well. But yes, I believe it was the result of racism. Sorry, I'm missing my sexism and anti-Semitism. It would being in hate crimes as the result.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Because for me, racism may not always fall under hate crimes.
Correct.
Like it could be under, we talked a lot about, I think we talked about like affordable housing and the racism there. And then, with law enforcement, the cycle of prisons, like I think to me, it doesn't seem to be the most accurate to be categorized under hate crimes, just because it wasn't directly related to that, but to other categories like, law enforcement, cultural competence, and otherwise. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it, but thank you.
And we can extrapolate that more detailed if we need to, because it did come up as, I believe, as explicit racism, but I believe we put that in the inclusion, diversity, and equity piece.
We did.
Okay, thank you. Okay, other questions?
The Commissioner Seaman Clark.
Yes, I just wanted to tag along with my fellow commissioner. It seems like when you start talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then adding racism and kind of grouping them all together, I think that there should be a distinction between what's against the law and what's actually inclusive, as opposed to just kind of lumping them together.
Right, and I think that's what we're trying to, in regards to the hate crimes as have been identified through racist acts, sexist acts.
Yeah. But I just don't think that hate crimes are inclusive or always resulting in hate crimes. So I think that you're linking an interdependency that's not necessarily always there, and that's very dangerous.
Okay.
Hi, it's Eleanor Evans. I have a concern about anti-Semitism. There are other belief systems that are discriminated against in San Diego County. So can we make that a lot more a broader term, belief systems or quote unquote religion?
Well, I don't want to change where we reported the data because this is what came forward through all of the everything that we did. I just wanted to make sure I clarified on that to what that data on hate crimes meant, but I don't necessarily want to change the religious to religious because I don't know if that was actually brought up in all of the interviews and the everything else that we did.
To that point, though, Christiana, would it be appropriate to add that to the discussion when we take this to the next meeting as a part of feedback to make sure we're inclusive with that language?
Sure, sure.
I see a couple other hands up. I see Commissioner Corey.
Yes, I wanted to second this, that we carry it over for next meeting, because although we are adding anti-Semitism, but I don't see any Islamophobia or anti-Arab or anti-Palestinian being also included, be it religious or ethnic or whatever. So either we go in general, or then we have to specify all other anti-something.
Well, I want to, yes, we can do that. That's no doubt. Sorry, I have the dogs barking. What I do want to just make sure we'll double check, Joanna, if any other hate crimes came up that were results of different religions. We could discuss different religions if they came up in different things. Like obviously we have go back to the word of God is one on here. Some may have been put together if it was more of training, but this is, again, this is the hate crimes that resulted in racist acts, sexist acts, and anti-Semitism acts. What was reported to us, none of this is anything that we created. We just may have lumped some things together just to create it, but that just means that we didn't have it posted as a hate crime that came up as other religious. So what we can do is look at maybe breaking down a little bit more on the inclusion, equity, and respect to see if there's anything in there to be more clear. But it was the actual hate crimes with these acts is what I just want to make sure that we're not dissecting the wrong thing for the wrong reason. I know that we need to put if we need to say other religions, but I don't know if that came up from all of the data in specifics to other religions.
I don't agree with Corey, but I'm looking at that in terms of hate crimes and what you're identifying as hate crimes. And, you know, part of the commission's duty, at least I felt, was the idea that my personal belief, and that the mission was that we would not, first of all, I don't believe as that, you know, I really don't. And we have to look at culture and ethnicity, which I think is a lot more powerful than race. I don't know, I just feel that this is not as effective as it could possibly be in terms of where we want to go with this. Okay, and again, like, because some people have no religion or do not believe in religion, perhaps belief system is much stronger, and some quote unquote religions are belief systems, but not a religion, vice versa.
Well, I definitely want to make sure I'm clear that I'm not arguing any of that. I don't think that's even what the discussion came to be of what we are doing here. So I just want to make sure hate crimes came up and having them lumped together. So hate crimes, we're just putting, like, this would be a semicolon of what hate crimes came up. This isn't a judgment call that any of us are making on what is a racist act or anything like that, or what is a hate crime. These are just ones that came up with the data.
Yeah, as an example, E period, G period. Yeah.
And again, this all very, very much appropriate comments that we need to take back to the subcommittee meeting to make sure it's inclusive of all that language, including racism, including you know, not just hate crimes, but hate incidents as well. I know some that didn't specifically come up, but we got to make sure we're inclusive of that. But also I do see Vice Chair Artan hand up, and then also Commissioner Corey's hand up. So we'll go with Vice Chair Artan.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I think part of the issue might be that when we were doing the discussions for the strategic planning, I think people didn't realize that we're supposed to share, like, you know, what are issues that we have experienced or our communities experience. I think it was more like, at least that's how I understood it when I did my one-on-one, as well as, you know, when we were doing the discussions, it was just like, what do you want to see in your community? And I didn't realize us not sharing maybe like some of our experiences would lead to gaps in the strategic planning, because I definitely would like to see Islamophobia mentioned as somebody who grew up in San Diego County, who is Muslim, visibly Muslim. I have definitely experienced events of Islamophobia. Same with, you know, what Commissioner, I think her and other folks brought up before, like anti-Arab, anti-Palestinian sentiments. Again, I think it was maybe like a gap in the discussions that we missed. But I don't think people realize that we're supposed to share, like, you know, our experiences and things that we have experienced rather than just recommendations of what we wanted to see. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Commissioner Artan. Commissioner Corey.
What I'm driving at basically is we need to keep something that will be inclusive of all rather than exclusive. And when we start placing some exclusive hate crimes, etc., then we have to go ahead and include all the others. And I would, let's leave it for the next meeting and we can discuss it and then come back to the commission.
I agree.
Sure.
Okay, so Joanna and I are taking notes on that, as you could see us doing it in real time, but we are also behind the scenes taking our other notes too. So we will have that for our next steps at our November 1st meeting.
All right.
As you can see, it says continue assisting in the prioritization. So that's what we're all here for. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I don't see any other hands, so I think we can move on to the next agenda item, Madam Chair. And that is our subcommittee updates. And we can start with our annual awards subcommittee updates. And we are making some progress. Madam Chair, I'm not sure if you are in a place where you can make comments. I know you're traveling in the airport, but did you want to make a few comments about this? And if not, we can ask Vanessa, who's on the line, to make some comments.
I'm not in a place. Can you update for the
Absolutely.
committee? I'm in the airport. Thank you.
Thank you. Vanessa, could you go ahead and provide an update?
Hi, the annual awards committee is going strong because it's coming up December 10th. We have a keynote speaker. Me and Ellen will be finalizing the program. We have the awards, and I think probably at the next meeting, they'll show you what the award is. We have an award. It's beautiful, an award. We're just nailing down the space. And I just emailed the keynote speaker today just to introduce myself and that we would be the contact. And the commissioners are working on getting a UN flag, what the decorations will look like, but it's going to be a hybrid. So people will be able to see it on TV, on screen, Zoom it, and in person. So it'd be part in person with us giving out the awards, somebody from the HRC giving out the awards, and then hybrid so everybody else could look in, because we want to be safe due to the COVID virus.
Do we have a date on that?
December 10th.
I'm out of town.
Vanessa, could you remind the commissioners regarding the deadline for nominations?
Deadline for nominations is the 27th, and I've sent out to a lot of organizations. We did a blast the county has, so we're really encouraging you all to, if you have organizations that you work with, to fill out those applications and get them back in, because it is the 27th. The deadline is the 27th.
Which is tomorrow. And also, Naras, I think you're on. Could you give us an update on how many applications we already have in for nominations?
Yes, we have 4 in total, 1 youth and unsung 3 nominations as of now.
Good. And then the committee is actually going to be meeting on the 1st to just review those applications and then make the selections. So you'll be hearing a much more in-depth update on the 9th. Anything else, Vanessa, on that? Any questions?
That's it.
I have a question. It's December 10th, but what time, please?
9 a.m.
Thank you.
And we'll be sending out flyers as well. I think hopefully either by the end of this week or early next week, you'll start to see more promotionals.
Commissioner Murray, can you talk about the international feature of this award ceremony?
If Commissioner Murray is not able to, this is Commissioner Clark, and I'm happy to.
Thank you.
So December 10th is the anniversary in which the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was signed. And of course, the United Nations was instrumental in making that happen. And so it's a celebration of all human rights, of course, and with the foundation of this committee. Basically it being the first inaugural year, we invited a keynote speaker that also works for the UN to share and provide remarks about the momentous day that is that celebration.
This is Commissioner Ramirez. Hello.
You're in, Nicole.
Okay. Yeah, on December 10th in 1949, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it proclaimed the inalienable rights, which everyone is entitled to as a human being, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, language, political, or other options, the national or social origin, property. And it's a historic proclamation that was, as I said, voted on by the General Assembly. So we thought that this would be a perfect reason and a date to commemorate and celebrate this historic declaration by the General Assembly. That's about it.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah, it's going to be a good event. Anything else on the annual awards? Any other questions? I think I see Commissioner Legaspi.
Yes, I had expressed interest in joining this subcommittee. Is it too late for me to join?
It's not too late.
No.
Okay, yeah, because I expressed interest in previous meetings. So I would like to join this subcommittee and help. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And they meet weekly, so we'll be set. We'll forward you that invite, and there's another meeting tomorrow, and then the next meeting after that is on the 1st. So we'll make sure that gets on your calendar. All right, not seeing any other hands. All right, so we'll go on to the next subcommittee. Communications. Did we have any updates from the communications subcommittee?
We're out here in front of my office on Truxton Avenue.
Oops. Not sure if that was an update. Sam, are you on, Commissioner Anaya? Or Sam Choi from my office, who is the staff. Do you have any updates on that?
I was not in attendance, so I can't update from the last meeting.
Okay.
Andrew, he said he can't get on, Sam.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we'll come back to this one once we get Sam on. I'm not sure if they met. I don't think they had a quorum. So we'll.
We didn't have a quorum.
Okay. Thank you.
That's
so we'll go to
two meetings in a row.
Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah. So we need more people.
All right, next up, committee, Warsan, Commissioner, Vice Chair Artan. Like to provide an update on this?
Yes, thanks, Andrew. So for the past few months, we have been speaking with the Office for Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs in order to review the county's legislative platform and provide recommendations as to what should be added to the legislative platform. We put together a list of recommendations. I'm not going to go through all of them at the moment. Andrew, do we have a screen? Is it on? Are we able to screen share that so folks can see? My understanding is that we wanted the commission to approve the letter today.
Yes, we can, but let's see if we can get Samuel Choi on and we can pull up that document so you can take a look at it. So give me 1 second.
Can I raise a question?
Yes, you can.
It's usually, I've heard a couple times, and I know in a couple of subcommittees I'm on, that reaching quorum has been quite a challenge. Can we maybe send the letter out to people that are signed up on these subcommittees that have an issue with attendance and suggest that they step back so that we can have other members join that can attend and make quorum?
And County Council Rachel, are you on? If you could chime in on that. I'm not sure if we need to agendize that or if we could speak to that since this is subcommittee updates. What would be the appropriate next step with that?
I mean, certainly maybe one of the options might be that, you know, I guess there are folks here that are on those committees, and if time doesn't allow, folks can certainly resign if they feel that's appropriate. And then that would change the composition of that particular subcommittee. But in terms of, I mean, if the commission wanted to take action related to the membership of those committees, they can certainly make a motion to do that, but it would likely need to be something specific so that the commission knew exactly what it was voting on.
Maybe a better way of asking that question is to give us an attendance report of people who have missed or have not made meetings, so that we can make suggestions to change things.
And Commissioner Roberts, we could certainly look into that, and I'll consult with County Council and the chair, and we'll talk about how we can approach that at the next meeting or two. Okay,
that would be perfect. Thank you.
No problem. All right.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So here's the letter that the office put together based on our recommendations. And as you can see, the list of recommendations again vary from anything equity, from equity to, you know, climate change and environment, to, you know, building more engagement and relationship with our indigenous communities and so on and so forth. My understanding is, and Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, that today we want the commission to approve the letter. That way it can be signed by the chair and the vice chairs.
Is this the entire letter? Is there anything below the I don't see education anywhere on this. It's not even inferred. I think it's extremely important that we have education, especially public education, somewhere. I think, you know, it's the foundation of democracy. It's the most, I'm just really disappointed that I don't see anything that relates to education.
Yes, so a little bit of context. The legislative platform for the county has a lot of issues or a lot of ideas or concepts listed on there. I think part of this was identifying the gaps and where we felt like we wanted to kind of bridge those gaps and the things that we didn't see on there. Andrew, I'm going to defer to you as far as adding education goes. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something we can make a recommendation to the board on and the staff. For some additional context, you're absolutely right. It's, you know, it's the core of a lot of the issues that we have in our region. But the county of San Diego typically doesn't get involved in the education for say, because you know, we're the county board of supervisors, and you have the county office of ed, and you have this county school board. So typically we stayed out of those lanes, but you are starting to see us as a county government go into some of those lanes as far as advocating for certain things. So that is something we can make a recommendation and put some language in here for around education, if that's something that this committee wants to submit as a recommendation.
It's not a matter of violating lanes. It's a matter of establishing a foundation. Mm-hmm. All right, you know, you need to have a road where you can have lanes, whether it's in a swimming pool or a freeway. And every bullet item I'm seeing, the bottom line is education, especially, again, public education. You know, hate crimes, human trafficking, child marriage, you know, all of those relate to education, and those areas where that is very prominent, you see there is a lack of education.
Okay. Thank you for that, Commissioner Evans. And I see Commissioner Perez.
Yes, I just wanted to comment. This is the first time I see this, and I don't know if it was attached and I missed it, but it's hard for us to vote on something if we're just reading it right now for the first time without really giving it some thought. So I would not want to vote or sign on this letter right now until I have chance to digest it and maybe, you know, make some recommendations to it. The other thing is if it's in the form, if you're meaning it to put it in the form of a letter, it should be in the form, formalized in the form of a letter there. This is a little bit, yeah, it's a little, yeah. Anyway, those are my comments on that. So had you guys sent it ahead of time? I definitely missed it.
No, I don't think this was attached to the agenda.
Oh, okay. So then again, my comment just is, I think we should probably get these ahead of time if we're expecting to vote on them at the meeting, because I don't want to place a vote on something like this when I'm just reading it right now quickly. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Perez. Commissioner Corey.
Yes, I would like to invite Commissioner Evans to our next meeting, the Legislative Committee's meeting, to discuss where does she feel the education from a legislative point of view is necessary to be called for. I support that. For instance, I have a lot to say about ethnic studies and the way ethnic studies was being dealt with on the legislative side, be it in our Senate or Assembly, as well as by our governor and others. And so maybe that's another subject we can go ahead and discuss. But I'd like to invite Commissioner Evans to our next meeting to help us at least understand where she's coming from.
Thank you. I'd like to attend.
You're not seeing any additional hands up. Commissioner Corey, you didn't just re-raise your hand, did you? Okay, good.
No, I will lower my hand.
Okay.
My apologies.
Okay, and Samuel Choi from our team just chimed in. The next meeting is on November 8th at 3 p.m. for the Legislative Subcommittee, for those who may be interested.
That's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll revisit this letter with Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs. We'll talk with the chair and vice chairs of the Legislative Committee and talk about next steps with getting this either up to revised to add education at the next subcommittee meeting, but also how we get this information over to our Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs as they are on that deadline to get the LEDGE program updated. So we'll make sure we take everything into account that was discussed today and provide you an update at the next meeting, okay? And I'm not sure if you wanted to take a vote on this or if we wanted to pass this. Chair Nash, oh, I see Commissioner Elliott Santos.
Yeah, I just want to say that it is difficult. The Legislative Committee is a small committee, and sometimes we do have issues making a quorum. We definitely want the input of the full board here, but like you said, we are working on a deadline, and I don't know how we could expedite this and get more input.
Buenos días, señor Pacheco. Voy a
Sooner.
estar un poquito tarde porque estoy en otra junta que
I'm not, like I said, I think we did the best we could with the amount of people that we had. And I do understand the part about education. Anyway, I just wanted to offer that up to the board members today. And the idea is really to try to meet that deadline also. Thank you.
Could we go back to the body of the letter? To where the bullet points were? Yeah, that. I would not be in favor of us voting for this, regardless of the deadline. I think it's real important that we have a very strong, poignant, and also succinct message. And I agree, it's not really in the form of a letter. It almost, I think you guys hit the real important points. I'll put it like that. but when you say identify the following priorities and suggestions, again, you know, the basis of all of these is quality public education. That's just it. Okay. And I know most like the idea of climate change. That's taught in school. I mean, most folks didn't know about it until, you know, they were in school. There's just so many. And, you know, like since we're going more into social emotional learning and we're focusing more on diversity, and diversity before was how we are alike, therefore how we're similar. Now diversity should be, because we have these characteristics, we're all human beings, we're all the same. Equity, you know, regardless of how you define equity, it's still the basis, you know, the basis of equity is being enlightened, being educated, and inclusion also includes being enlightened and being educated. Okay.
This is Chair Nash. It seems the issue is that some of us were not able to read and review this letter in a timely manner, number one. Number two, seems like there's an issue regarding including some language regarding education, which I totally agree with. So is there some way we can expedite incorporating those changes, but also trying to meet the deadline?
And also, Sam, if you are on the call, I don't know if you were able to join us, to be able to give us a deadline that we're trying to meet. Don't see you on here. But what we can do is let me circle back with our Office of Strategy and Governmental Affairs. And it sounds like we do want to make the changes that you just mentioned, Chair Nash, before this goes anywhere outside of this meeting. So, and it also sounds like we have that meeting set up on the 8th, and we've invited Commissioner Evans and whomever else would like to attend, maybe to refine this letter. And then we'll try to expedite that, but I need to figure out what the deadlines are, and then we'll get back to the chair. Sorry, go ahead.
Could we have a copy of this letter?
Yes, we'll send it out directly after this meeting.
All righty. And yeah. And you said the deadline is for what? To go to where?
To the Office of Strategy and Intergovernmental Affairs. To be included into their program. And I need to get that deadline for you. And it seems like Sam is trying to join. He's having some technical difficulties. We'll try to get that before the end of the meeting. And I see, no problem, Commissioner Vice Chair Warsan.
Yeah, just really quick. I remember at our last HRC meeting, there were a few people that expressed interest in joining this subcommittee. Maybe we can also add them to future calendar invites for that subcommittee. I don't want to speak for anyone, but if I remember correctly, it was Commissioner Roberts and Commissioner Press, if I remember correctly.
That's correct on my part. I had volunteered, but I never received anything. So yeah, thank you for saying that. What time is that meeting on the 8th? Did you say 3 o'clock? You're on mute. You're on mute, Andrew.
Thank you. And that meeting was at 3 p.m.
Thank
and
you.
we'll make sure that gets on your calendar. And
thank
Commissioner
you.
Roberts.
Yeah, I also expressed a desire to be involved with this, and I had specifically said I wanted to postpone until after November because I was flying home that day from Florida. But it turns out that I'll be home by 3 o'clock on that day. So I would like to participate in it, and I don't want to be on it yet, but I will participate on it. if you could make sure I get the invite and the documentation, I'd appreciate it.
Will do.
Again, like I said, it's my birthday, and every day I have to pick up my niece in Temecula, so it's going to be awkward, but I will do my best to be there. Yeah.
Actually, this is Chair Nash. Actually, November 8th is my birthday, and I also will attend that meeting.
Wow.
So we will share our celebration by participating.
And we will sing happy birthday for both of you.
Yes.
All right, so we'll make sure we send this letter out as soon as possible after this meeting and get those invites to you to attend. All right, any other questions on or comments for the legislative subcommittee? All right, seeing none, we will go to the next subcommittee. All right, policies and procedures. Vanessa, are you still on? Would you like to give a quick update on that?
Hello. The Policy and Procedure Subcommittee meeting is scheduled for November 17th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. on a Wednesday.
Thank you, Vanessa. Now it'll be our first meeting. That subcommittee. Public Safety Subcommittee. And I think.
Good morning, everyone. This is Estela Dos Rios on the Public Safety Committee. We continue to have, we had a meeting October 11th, and we continue to have conversations to understand the problem of public safety and the mental health challenges and resources. We've had Dr. Bergman on our first meeting, and this is the second meeting on October 11th that he was available to answer more questions. And for our next meeting, which will be tentatively November 29th, we will be having a panel on future law enforcement panel that we're going to invite to ask a series of questions. And we're also going to have a presentation by Dr. Kutin Candy, Executive Director of the Asian Solidarity Collective and co-founder of People's Collective for Justice and Liberation. So that meeting we will send out to invite everyone. Thank you. That's our committee meeting, committee update. Any questions?
Excellent.
Would you like to add anything, Co-Chair Eleanor Evans?
No, you did an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next subcommittee is a youth subcommittee. And I know this subcommittee just met yesterday for the first time. It's exciting news. And I know they also set the meeting dates for November 15th and December 13th for the rest of the year. And they're going to be planning to invite youth organizations to present at the subcommittee and then provide space for youth to share what they see as a priority for the subcommittee moving forward. So I don't know if Kate, Commissioner Chasen joined us. Commissioner Farouk or Commissioner Villaforte, if you had anything else you'd like to share about that meeting. I see Commissioner Corey, I see your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to ask, I had passed to Claudia at the time, and I copied you, Andrew, suggesting 2 or 3 additional community youth organizations to be passed to our subcommittee members so that at least they may go ahead and contact them and see if they can add them to whatever youth committee or subcommittee they have. Did you pass that information to the three ladies?
I believe
three
we did.
commissioners?
Yeah, I believe we passed it off to Janie Regier, who's the staff member for that. She's not on the call right now. But we'll make sure if they didn't get it, they will get it, and we'll get them the invite before the meeting on the 15th and the 13th.
Please, thank you.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll confirm that right after this meeting. Commissioner Farouk.
Yeah, just quick updates. In addition to what you already mentioned, if folks on the commission have suggestions for youth organizations to reach out to, we're already thinking of a few organizations to present to us and to give them space to talk about their issues. But if you're connected to any youth organizations, I know that Commissioner Kura, you mentioned that. We are more than happy to welcome organizations to provide presentations for us. So if folks would like to suggest that, I don't know, Andrew, maybe they send that information to you or to Janie, but that's very welcome. Thank you.
Right, you can send it to Naraz, and then she'll make sure we get that out to the appropriate folks. Thank you. Right, not seeing any other hands. Right. So last subcommittee is the strategic planning, and we already saw an update for that. So we can go on to agenda item 7, Madam Chair, if you don't have any other items for the subcommittee updates. So in agenda item 7 is Filipino American Heritage Month, just so we can acknowledge these months and celebrations. And if anybody had any celebrations or events that they want to share, also that our Office of Equity Racial Justice is hosting the second of our Asian Pacific Honor anti-hate forums tomorrow. And I believe, at the time, it starts at 4 o'clock and goes to 5:30. So I can send out that, make sure everybody has that, just in case you're able to attend. It's going to be a great opportunity, great event. Anyone else?
Where's it going to be?
It's a virtual forum.
Oh,
So it'll be on Zoom.
thank you.
No problem. All right, not seeing any hands, Madam Chair. So item 8 on the agenda, Madam Chair, is discussion of community raised matters relating to the commission promoting positive human relations. We did have an item that came up and that I believe you wanted to discuss on this agenda. And that was an item relating to care organization and an issue that came up at a Board of Supervisors meeting.
Right. This item came up it was forwarded to me, and was requested we actually added onto the agenda. I don't know if all of you were able to review the letter and the response. Wanted to take it under advisement for our commission in terms of if it's appropriate, the appropriateness of a response from the HRC, or an acknowledgement in some way. If others here can provide background information, that would be appreciated. But really wanted to take it under advisement from my colleagues here in regards to an appropriate response or response at all.
Commissioner Corey?
Yes, please. My community in general are very aware of what took place when the supervisor accused CARE to be a terrorist group, and that is completely rejected by our community. And as a human relations commission, irrespective, be it a supervisor, be it the governor, be it the president, irrespective, if somebody does what that supervisor did, the Human Relations Commission should act if we want to follow whatever principles we set with our roles and responsibilities. And especially when we talked about being proactive rather than reactive about such situations. That was a very blatant hate crime, the way we look at it, and we are dealing with it accordingly from our community. And it should not just be passed under the rug by the HRC. Thank you.
I personally am not, I don't really have knowledge of CARE. I would at least like to have more information. In fact, even apologize for the airport noise. Either a presentation by CARE so that we can get an understanding of who they are and bring them to the commission to ask questions in order for us to make a better informed decision and response.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. This is Commissioner Khoury. We, as a government, as a country, we have listed a list of so-called terrorist organizations. And accordingly, CARE is not on that list. And so we can't wait until we demonstrate to everybody that CARE is not on a list of a terrorist organization, because it is a very respected organization in country. And when a supervisor accuses them of being a terrorist organization, he is lying. And accordingly, we can't wait unless you can prove or demonstrate that they are on a list by our government, by Homeland Security, or by somebody else in country, that they are a terrorist organization. What was said about them is a defamation that cannot pass and should not pass, especially by a Human Relations Commission.
Okay.
And Chair Nash, we also have a public speaker who submitted the person who submitted the speaker slip to speak.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Nazim. And we also have hands up from the commission. So if you'd like to take that public comment now.
Absolutely.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Tazeen Nizam, and I'm the director of the CARE San Diego chapter. CARE, which stands for Council on American Islamic Relations. We are the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization. We have 30 chapters across the nation, and we have 4 in California. Since August, just to give you a window of what we've been doing just since August, when the Afghan crisis arose, we've helped 147 San Diego residents evacuate from Afghanistan. We've helped many families fill out their humanitarian parolee application so that they can help others evacuate under family visas and other instances. And also just recently, we held a Know Your Rights seminar where we had 50 families come and we helped them understand their legal rights when it comes to dealing with law enforcement and when kids go to school. So we've been continuously involved in the work, assisting Afghan refugees and resettlement agencies and helping families assimilate or become a part of the San Diego fabric. And this work has not gotten unnoticed by many organizations. Some supervisors have acknowledged this. When the motion came to the San Diego Board of Supervisors on October 5th, that and it was introduced by Supervisor Anderson, that a task force should be formed. Supervisor Lawson-Remer mentioned that a task force including community-based organizations and resettlement agencies, as well as Health and Human Services, should be included into this work. At that mention, Supervisor Anderson, and I'm not sure what provoked him to say this, but he said that organizations which are involved in terrorism in the Middle East should not be allowed to continue this work, and at which just not the supervisors, everybody was just taken, we were taken by surprise. We didn't know where this was coming from. And finally, when the amendment to the board letter was put forward, it was said that organizations which are listed on the Treasury's Department as specific organizations that should be not done business with, that government should not engage in any business with, those should be excluded from this work. But in that moment, Supervisor Anderson labeled us in an instant from a community-based organization to a terrorist organization, which was putting a target on my back, my staff's back. And today he's talking about an organization such as CARE. Tomorrow it will be the larger Muslim community. Later it will be the Asian community. Later it will be all people of color. We don't know where this is going. This, Madam Chair, provokes violence against communities of color, against the Muslim community. Person like myself who was visibly Muslim walks down the street and we don't know who got provoked from those words and could be conduct an act of violence against me. So this is why we've asked Supervisor Anderson to apologize and redact his words, because it's, first and foremost, they're untrue. So this is a defamation to begin with. Then they're violent, hateful, and put a target on my back, my staff's back, my community's back. That's the reason it is so important. I'm very, very happy that the commission has brought this thought forward. And I just wanted to be here just in case anyone had any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tazeen. We also have Commissioner Roberts, Commissioner Corey, and Commissioner Farouk. Your hands are up. Commissioner Roberts.
I'm sorry, I hadn't heard anything. I was out of town for a couple of weeks, so I've just been searching the internet and caught up on what's going on. So I'm lowering my hand.
Commissioner Corey.
I would like to move to a motion to go ahead and send a letter to the supervisor that what was said is not acceptable by the Human Relations Commission, and demand an apology to the Islamic community within San Diego and everywhere else. CARE is not a terrorist group, and accordingly, what he was saying was a lie and an incitement against a large community or part of our community in San Diego. Thank you.
If that requires a second, I'll give it.
So we have a motion and a second. Actually, developing a letter was not on the agenda. It was just to discuss since it's on item number 8. So what we could do is forward this on to the communications subcommittee to develop that letter. That's an option since that was one of the roles. But that doesn't necessarily need to have a motion. And Claudia, or not Claudia, Rachel, would you be able to chime in on that?
Certainly this can be referred to the communications committee. The only action that can be taken today, which is placed in the agenda, is that the commission can take an action to place this matter on a future agenda for possible action. So that is an action that could be taken today.
You know, this is Commissioner Corey. I really have a problem, especially in incidents like this. If we keep on postponing, delaying action by the Human Relations Commission, all what we are doing is diluting the situation and being very reactive rather than proactive, as even the communication committee have been advocating. Either we are proactive or reactive as a Human Relations Commission. Keep on pushing away this from the essence of what we are all about as a Human Relations Commission representing our communities, is doing nothing legally or otherwise, just diluting it and escaping from the responsibility and the role that we accepted to take upon ourselves. So I have a motion on the table. I would like to include it in this agenda because it cannot wait. This incident happened on the 4th of October. It's already several weeks behind. And if we don't move on that and wait until we meet next time, it would have been dead by then. And I don't think then we would be representing our communities. Thank you.
Commissioner Farouk.
Yeah, thank you, Tazeen, for speaking on this matter. This is a very critical issue that has deeply affected our communities. Personally, I am very disappointed in my supervisor, Supervisor Anderson, for his remarks. I mean, we just talked about what are some issues that our communities are facing in the strategic planning process. And we talked about how racism, Islamophobia, and other issues are key concerns of our communities. And this is one big instance of that. So I think I'd have to agree with Commissioner Khoury that this item, postponing it even further, or just pushing it to a further agenda, if it's not possible, I think we should just address this as soon as possible because we are already behind. And our communities are looking towards us for a solution or for a way to address this issue. And as folks that have taken it as a role and a responsibility for us to advocate for our communities and, you know, create positive human relations, I definitely think that we should advocate for a letter or for an action as soon as possible, and just create some, you know, push the supervisor and make sure that he understands the impacts of his actions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Warsan.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. First thing that I want to say is that I wish that representatives from the supervisor offices were here today and were invited to this meeting, because I think would have been great if they could hear these comments. Also, as a District 2 resident myself, I am extremely disappointed in my supervisor and the comments that he made, and especially the time he made it in a discussion about Afghan refugees. Why is it that when we're talking about Middle Eastern refugees, the discussion of terrorism comes up? Very inappropriate, I think personally. And also, as the representative from CARE said, that the accusation is not true, right? Like to accuse of a community-based organization of being a terrorist organization when there's not proof, they're not on a list of, you know, being a terrorist organization, is extremely harmful. I am also very disappointed, honestly, on how the other supervisors reacted. You know, we talk about allyship, but allyship means standing up for people when they're not there to voice their own opinions and to speak up against the issue. I don't know how to explain it, but this thing of like coining or like almost identifying people or organizations as terrorists and watching everyone in attendance almost be afraid to react and say like, hey, this is a community-based organization, you shouldn't be calling them a terrorist organization. I think it's a reaction we, a lot of us from the Muslim community are very familiar with, because we have heard those things before. And we have seen people around us react and not say anything because they are afraid to be an ally to a terrorist. We recognize those feelings. So I'm not only disappointed in my supervisor, but I'm also disappointed in the reaction from the rest of the supervisors and the staff, the county staff that were in attendance. Not one of them, not a single one of them said something when CARE was called a terrorist organization. Again, I wish that they were here today to hear this conversation. And the last thing that I want to say is that, I mean, as to our public comment, sorry, I forgot the name, so I have to double check. Yeah, as he said, this is a like, you know, like this is a target towards care staff, right? These are people in existence in our community, and when you call them a terrorist, that's a target on their back. But also it has an impact on the larger Muslim community. It's like, I think it's very easy for people to make careless comments associating, you know, Muslim organizations and Muslim members as terrorists, and not realize the impact that has on the Muslim community, and the fact that there are little kids who are called towel heads and told to go back to where they came from and are called terrorists. And that impact comes from people who are on television, who are our leaders, who are our community members, who feel comfortable sitting behind a table and making comments. And that's what Anderson did. And I hope that we can put something together. And I, as a resident of his community, I honestly expect an apology. It was extremely inappropriate and hateful comment that he made. And I agree with the time sensitiveness of this issue that other commissioners brought up. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Warsan. Commissioner Anaya.
Good morning, everyone. Let me just offer up maybe a process or next steps or things we could do to move this forward, because I think the general consensus here is that people are upset, or we are upset. I usually use I statements, but in this case, I pretty much sound like we are upset and very disappointed in both that particular supervisor and even going as far as the rest of the body in their reaction or lack of reaction to it. So with that said, I think what I'd like to propose is, you know, from a communication standpoint, that the communications committee meet this week and get something drafted this week. However, the intent of the document or the letter for me is what I want to throw out there is that it not just be a letter that says, hey, we don't like what you did for the following reasons. I think we take it one step further. And it's kind of a hybrid of what's been proposed. I know we were talking about agendizing something in the future. I think our letter could be something that says we are disappointed, you know, add some bullets and why in this. And by the way, this would go to the entire Board of Supervisors, not just one member, and say we are disappointed for the following reasons. We are placing this on our agenda for the next meeting, where we will offer an opportunity for the organization that spoke earlier to present who they are as an organization, the good they do. I heard a lot of good in what they presented, and what the impact has been of these careless comments, and allow the supervisors the opportunity, in my mind, to apologize. Who knows if we'll get that, but to also have a place where they can discuss, because I don't believe we can take much action in the sense of like, oh, bad supervisor, we're slapping your hand, but we can create a forum for the dialogue and put it on the record at the end of that, what we feel as a commission, because I think it's very easy at the very end to say, you know, based on the spirit of the mission of our commission, we believe this went against the mission, and we want to put that on public record for the future. But I think by creating those steps, we cover all our bases. So I'm open to, you know, people disagreeing with that or adding to it. I just see that it moves it forward, but it's also more than just here's a letter. Now we've done some education tied to it, and we can have a conversation. It also opens it up, quite frankly, as an agenda item for additional public comment, for more folks to register their disappointment in what's been said. And I know that shouldn't speak those ways. I probably legal counsel saying that I'm a little biased there. I don't mind being biased every once in a while, so I'll put that out there. So thank you.
Commissioner Perez.
Yeah, I was going to suggest the same thing regarding process. We definitely need a process. I know that these issues come up often and sometimes in between meetings, so we don't have that opportunity. But I too was out and just got back in town, so I had not heard about this either. And of course, absolutely disappointing, and even more that nobody chimed in to say, hey, you know, knowing where we are today, it just goes to show that it just kind of continues. And education is so important, talking about that again. But I do think it's important to have a process. I agree with, yes, putting a letter out, because that is what we should be doing when we hear about these things. I think I was just going to suggest too, that when we hear about these things, whoever hears about it that's on the commission first should probably send something out, even if we're in between meetings, and maybe we call a special meeting just to address that more promptly and not wait till the next meeting comes up, because then we could be behind, 4 weeks, just so that we're all aware of what's going on. Here's the issue. And, we're going to request a special meeting just to take a vote on, putting this letter together, this communications together. And the communication is extremely important. And it's what we put in that letter that is also extremely important. So I'm in agreement about, expressing our disappointment in them, but also saying that we too would expect an apology from the supervisor. So some sort of, here's what we want out of this. But so I do agree that there has to be a process. And so I would rather do that. And, I'll definitely read more about it today and figure out where we're at on the issue. But it is important to do that. And I just want to suggest, if anybody hears these things happen, just bring them up sooner. And that's what we do. And maybe we do have a special meeting to discuss it and not wait that long. Thank you.
Commissioner Ismail.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to add my voice to my colleagues. This is really unfortunate, but also a great example to remind us all of the important role of HRC that we play in the community. We need an immediate action, whatever everyone decides on. The Afghan families have been through a lot before they arrived to the US, traumatized, evacuation, and this is really unwelcoming language and very threatening to the community. Thank you.
Commissioner Farouk.
Thank you to my commissioner colleagues for mentioning all of the suggestions for a process to address this. I think it's really important to give space for folks to comment and share their thoughts, similar to what the public comment earlier was said. I also want to caution us, though, not to put the burden on CARE to have to prove themselves to the supervisors. CARE has been in San Diego and in California for decades, and they shouldn't have to continuously prove themselves in their work every time to not be called a terrorist. I do think we should have space for comment, but not necessarily put the burden totally on them. And I think I agree with the process of issuing a letter to the supervisors. And I think even going a step further to ask Supervisor Anderson to issue a public statement of apology. I don't think it's sufficient to just come to a meeting just for us to present and apologize. I think it should be a public statement to his constituents, to be frank. He owes it to his constituents. And that's his role and responsibility, in my opinion. And I think we should urge him to do that. And I actually wanted to ask maybe Andrew or Rachel, if you have any ideas on, is it possible for the commission to present to the Board of Supervisors on this and to bring that issue forward to them? That's one curiosity that I had.
And thank you. I'll defer to our county council on that one. That's a good question. Rachel, would you like to chime in, please?
Sure. First, just wanted to let you know that the process that Commissioner Anaya had laid out is something certainly that would be allowed to occur. The chair has the authority to speak on behalf of the HRC, and she established the communications committee specifically for the purpose of responding quickly. And so the letter can go out on that regard. And certainly she also has the authority to place items on the future agendas and call special meetings. So all of those options are available without having to take action today. And then with regard to presenting in front of the Board of Supervisors, either an individual member of the Board of Supervisors under the Board of Supervisors rules can agendize something, or our chief administrative officer can do that. So if that's something that the HRC is interested in doing, at some point, there could be a request to the CAO or to individual board of supervisors to be able to present should you want to do that.
Thank you for that, Rachel. I think we should, consider that as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Corey.
Yes, please. First of all, I want to thank Tazeen for coming over and presenting to the whole commission. Tazeen, at the same time, I want to ask you, please, I know that you do have at least the video or the reference to the video that will demonstrate exactly what was said by the Supervisor Anderson, and I would like you to go ahead and forward it to Mr. Andrews. He will be kind enough, I think, to go ahead and give you his email or whatever, so that he can distribute it for the rest of those commissioners who are not aware of what took place, and this way they can hear and see for themselves exactly what was said by Supervisor Anderson. Again, I go back to the issue of process. I believe in process in general, but I still believe that we are postponing and moving things that need to be acted upon by the HRC as soon as possible. So I second what my friend, my Commissioner Anaya said about having a communications committee meeting, if possible this week, during which we can go ahead and prepare the letter and go ahead and authorize that committee, which is led by Chair Nash, to sign the letter and send it out as soon as possible to the supervisors and Supervisor Anderson specifically.
Commissioner Estela de los Rios.
Thank you. I concur with all my commissioners in regards to how they feel. Being from East County myself and being a constituent, I'm very appalled by the supervisor's comments. So I would strongly encourage us to take a role as the Human Relations Commission and support everything that we can do, because this is, again, appalling. I've worked with CARE, very prestigious and great organization. I've been partnering with them for the past 20 years. They do great, excellent work, and it's an insult to all of us. And I just wanted to give my input as well as supporting and commend Nazim for bringing this to light. And yes, I agree that we should take a strong role in going forward. Thank you.
Hi, Eleanor Evans. I'm very much in agreement with what's been said so far. I'm a lifetime member of the NAACP, and I was on the Urban League County of San Diego for over 17 years, executive officer. And with each, and I was the youngest in the nation at that time, with each and every one of these organizations, we were labeled as being communists, anti-American, disruptive, troublemakers. And all because people were resentful and resented the idea of change and equity and equality. And, or they had a political agenda to promote themselves in terms of whether it's political office, but basically power, obtaining more power and subjugating other folks. So I would support, what we're seeing so far.
Commissioner Anaya, I see your hand is still up.
Yeah. I know that we have some public noticing standards that we have to meet in order for us to meet, but I can make myself, as member of the communications team, I can make myself available pretty much any time this week. Still on medical leave, so I have a lot of free time. And so what I would actually ask Andrew, if maybe in order to expedite a draft that the committee can consider, if folks could send you bullet points or talking points they would like to consider being part of the letter, so that we don't violate any Brown Act stuff by emailing each other. And if you could gather those, I'd be more than happy to review those and draft an initial draft for the communications committee to beat up, so we're not starting from scratch at that meeting.
Absolutely. So checking in with County Council, our special meeting only needs 24 hours notice, I believe, instead of 72 hours. So we could work with the communication subcommittee to get something scheduled as soon as possible right after this meeting.
Thank you. This is Chair Nash. I returned to San Diego tonight, so I can make myself available the remaining part of the week. Let's get this done. I've been educated and informed, and I'm very angry about the Board of Supervisor Anderson's remarks. Uninformed remarks by an elected official is ridiculous. Thank you.
Commissioner Farouk?
Can I also suggest, first of all, thank you, Commissioner Anaya, for the suggestion of having the special meeting. Can I suggest that the communication subcommittee discuss a way to present to the supervisors as well? Just thinking about ways to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other hands. Chair Nash, no one else coming off the mute. So we have our action item to work with the communication subcommittee to get something scheduled as soon as possible with the 24-hour notice, and collect the information that we get as far as the dot points for the report back. So not seeing anything else.
This is Commissioner Khoury.
Yes,
I had a motion on the table. Do we need to modify the motion?
No, there doesn't need to be any action for this to refer to the communication subcommittee. There doesn't need to be.
Because I wanted to add also that I am on the communication committee and I will be happy to meet at any moment, even at midnight.
Understood. And I see Natalia Bravo, our resident chief of staff, has her hand up.
Hi, everyone. I also just wanted to put out there that you could, the chair could call into the Board of Supervisors meeting and submit a public comment on behalf of the HRC. That way it would not have to be a docketed item that would have to be sponsored by anyone, but just rather from the HRC in general.
And it have to be in the beginning, like right, the non-agendized public comments. Right?
Yes. They wouldn't be able to take action on it, but they would be able to hear it for action at a later date if you wanted. And I'm saying this because the next Board of Supervisors meeting is November 2nd, if you wanted to consider that, because I know everyone is considering getting it done quickly. So just an option.
Thank you, Natalia. Commissioner Anaya, your hand's back.
Just out of curiosity, what type of action could the County Board of Supervisors actually take on an item like this? The only thing that I can think of that's slightly related to this is some type of censure, right? But I'm just curious, like if we go to the county, and obviously we want to put this on the record, that's one thing. But if we were to ask for some type of action, what are our options?
Rachel, did you want to chime in on that, or would you want to do some research prior to communications?
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
Right. That in terms of all of the different options, I wouldn't be prepared to be able to know what all of those options are, but certainly we can have staff start taking a look at that and providing that information to the communications committee and the HRC at large when it comes back.
Commissioner Khoury.
Yes, I represent the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, ADC, and we issued already a press release regarding this issue, this matter, and we contacted several of the Board of Supervisors, at which time we demanded an apology from Anderson as well as censorship by the Board of Supervisors themselves for what was said. And of course, a reprimand for them for not reflecting, at least standing up to the bullying of Supervisor Anderson. So censorship is one item that I know we can ask for, and I will be looking forward to hear from the council what other things we can ask for. And I would like to also ask that we go ahead and decide today for maybe a meeting, for a special meeting for tomorrow, which is 24 hours earlier, if Chair Nash is amenable for that, so that we can go ahead and finalize something that can go out to the I'd like to meet that deadline of November the 2nd for the commissioners or the supervisors to, during their meeting, to act on whatever letter or whatever we can force them to do. Thank you.
Yes, sure. I'm available tomorrow. Thank you.
Was there a particular time for the communication subcommittee? Would it be at this time, 10 a.m., or we're thinking after hours or 5, or will be a minimal?
I'm flexible.
You want to do 24-hour notice, assuming it takes you an hour or two to get the thing ready. 24-hour notice from 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming you can't. Just because it's noon right now doesn't mean the notice is going out right now. So I know you need time to prep it and get it out. So anytime after 2, I think would work.
Would you like to plan for 3? Okay. So we'll plan that meeting for 3 o'clock tomorrow. We'll work to get that out as soon as possible. Right after this meeting, we'll get it out. Okay, not seeing any other hands up. Commissioner Corey, did you just
Yes, and Andrew, do you have access to the, in order to send to the committee and to the commission as a whole, access to the video of that so that people will hear exactly what was said?
Yes, we can send something out, Commissioner Corey.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the internet.
Commissioner Ismail.
I just wanted to say that, like all the materials that you have, if you want to share, that would be wonderful. So thank you.
Will do, Commissioner Ismail. I don't see any other hands up.
George, can you forward your press release to Andrew as well that you referenced?
My pleasure, Pedro. I will go ahead and do that.
Okay, not seeing any other hands or comments. So we have our action item to schedule that meeting for tomorrow at 3. I do see one hand up. Chair Nash, we have Tazeen has the hand up again to speak. Is that okay with you to take another public comment?
Absolutely.
Just 1 second. I just wanted to thank the commission and Chair Nash for acknowledging this matter and acting on it so quickly. So I really appreciate Andrew, you taking the task on to schedule the meeting so urgently. Appreciate everyone. It makes me feel like I belong in a community, and my community is outraged when I am mistreated. So thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you, Tazeen. I'm not seeing any other hands. Chair Nash. That is our last agenda item for today. And our next meeting of the commission is on November 9th, but we'll have that special meeting scheduled for tomorrow as well. You are, oh, I do have more. I'm sorry, Commissioner Naya.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I had read something in the agenda where we could discuss future topics as well. I thought that was on there somewhere.
It is future agenda items. Yes, it is.
Okay, I did have a recommendation as I've been kind of monitoring some of the different things that go on in our county government. And I was really excited to see the different employee affinity groups you have. Like, you know, there's a county Hispanic group. I know that yesterday your Filipino group within the county employees met as well. I think there's some potential there for us to work and collaborate with some of these groups. And so it got me thinking that there may be more groups of such within the county that we don't even know about. It'd be great to learn who these groups are, what they do. I know, like, for example, the event that happened yesterday with our Filipino group was a nice event that I think ties great with human relations. I know that the Hispanic group within the county employees has done some good scholarship work and other things, and I'm sure they're not the only two. So I wanted to put that out there I think there's some opportunities there to learn from them and what some of the county employee needs are around some of the issues that we cover, but also to support what they're doing in general. So I wanted to just put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We actually have 11 of those employee resource groups. So we'd be happy to put some on the agenda. And Claudia Silva is actually our liaison to that. So we could definitely put together something for the agenda. I see Commissioner Legaspi.
Yes, this is a different subject. It's in connection with the Commission promoting positive human relations. The transgender community is planning the Transgender Day of Remembrance, and activity starts November 1st with the raising of transgender flag, and it will be greatly appreciated if we get support from the Human Relations Commission. Actually, the subject has been brought up to the City Human Relations Commission, and we have a positive feedback on that. The dates, November 1st will be the raising of the transgender flag, and then November 13 starts the kickoff of the activities. And November 20 is the actual Transgender Day of Remembrance, and it will be greatly appreciated if we get support from the Human Relations Commission. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Legaspi. And I'll be in contact to get some additional information if we could potentially send something like that out to the commission. And Commissioner Desert. Nope, you're on mute.
Thanks, Andrew. Going back to where we started, I know diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with trainings, are a priority for this group. Just wanted to put it out there. The San Diego LGBT Community Center has a training institute and would love for, at some point, also following Julia's comment about the importance of raising awareness and education about our transgender and non-binary community. We would love to provide a training to this group to make that training public. We do them virtually for whoever wants to join at the county. So want to make that offering and that suggestion for everything we do. The LGBTQ community is a part of every other community, and centering a learning opportunity for LGBTQ awareness and cultural competency, I think would be a really good thing for this group. Happy to talk more about that offline as well, Andrew.
Thank you. Absolutely. Commissioner Naya, did you have your hand back up? No? Okay. I don't see any additional hands. Go through real quick. All right. All right, so that was your last agenda item, Chair Nash. So you can adjourn the meeting if you like, if you have any closing.
Yes, I have some closing comments. I really want to reiterate the importance of the sense of urgency and the timeliness of the Human Relations Commission, the commissioners. I thank you all. I really want to put a big thank you to all of our subcommittees. I also, though, want to admonish us all to make sure we're mindful of our attendance during those subcommittee meetings, and also would invite other commissioners to join those meetings. Some of those subcommittees, we're in a state of urgency. I heard Commissioner Corey loud and clear. And it's not just this one issue, but it is a sense of urgency. And we were all put together at this time in this moment to address this urgency. This is not going to be the first of an urgent matter that we need to respond to. There's going to be many, many others. And I think our structure and our strategic planning that we're putting in place we're going to be able to respond in a timely manner, in a very powerful, meaningful manner as well. So I just thank you all for spending these 2 hours today with us. Yes, I'm stuck in the airport, but because of the urgency of some of the agenda items, I had to attend this meeting. And when the matter of the Board of Supervisors' inappropriate comments came to my attention, it was immediately put on this agenda in order for us to deal with. So I just want to say thank you all for coming, and you'll have a great week. And Communications Committee, Subcommittee, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Chair Nash.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.